Good evening. Welcome, everyone. I'm sorry. It looks like my camera has finally died. Yeah, it's gone. Sorry about that. But it's good to see everybody in here. Yeah, I'm interested in that too, Ariel. That's a good point. Now we're gonna get into all that. I'm just gonna kind of shoot it with you guys for a minute. You know, I know, Mel. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's just not a whole lot I can do about it. I've been sitting here messing with it, and my camera won't work. How was my day? I'm really glad you asked. I had a fantastic day, actually. I went to the gym because I skipped the gym yesterday out of sheer laziness. So I went to the gym. Before that, I picked up a new, let's say, a tobacco smoking device. Because rolling cigarettes became a little too expensive, if you know what I mean. Even though I buy the store bought, figure that one out. Anyway, so yeah, so that's good. I'm happy with that. Picking one out. I don't know if anybody here who partakes. When you go to the shop, commonly known as a head shop, to purchase these things, there's a large display depending on where you go. I went to one that was basically just for, specialized in this. And so before I went to the gym, I picked one of those up. Because I like to really be tobaccoed out when I go to the gym. I get into my music a lot better. I can focus more. I get really, really like in a goal setting groove, for lack of a better term, and I really enjoy it. And then afterwards, I get to eat, and that's fantastic. So today, what I did was I really enjoyed my time at the gym because I skipped yesterday. So I worked out for hours. I did legs, chest, arms. And tomorrow I'll be back in shoulders. And right now, I don't know how many of you guys know this, but Mexi and I, there's another creator here, Mexi, who studies the paranormal. He investigates the paranormal side of true crime. And he lives in Colorado, so he's in a great place for it. But we've become friends, and we basically challenged each other like a weight loss challenge because for like the last 2 months, I've been doing nothing productive, like except for this. So like the last 2 months, I've been doing like nothing productive. I've been watching like the same movies over and over again. I watched entire series of shows. I watched, and I was just sitting around not doing anything and just getting fat. And so I got a little bit of a belly in the last couple of months, and I always kind of did, but it's significantly bigger at this point. And yeah, so yeah. So Mexi and I, and the thing is Mexi, he's married, like, and he's, and he's a pretty devout Christian. So he doesn't really have any like real bad habits. So his vice is pretty much just food. So, you know, like your typical married family guy, he's, you know, he likes his junk food. That's his vice. He likes his junk food. Uh, so, but I challenged him, and he said 3 months. So we're gonna do 3 months because that's a lot better for me, because I challenged him and I told him that I would lose 20. I would challenge him. If he could lose 10, I'll lose 20, right? 20 pounds. So this starts Monday. So until then, I am eating everything. Like, I am consuming all the calories that are in my face or that enter in my head, and I execute them. And this is what happens when you buy a new device at the store and then you work out as hard as I did, and then you come home to eat, and you do something like this. Let me let me just pull this up here for a second. In a second here. I don't know why it's not okay. Oh, this is not good. Yeah, it's not letting me share screen. So that's really annoying. Let me refresh this. Give me 1 second, guys. So that is exactly what it looks like. So I came home and I knew I was going to make a cheeseburger. And what I was going to do, basically, I had this pizza last night. It was a supreme pizza, and I had this pizza left over. I had 2 slices left over, and I felt like a genius because I cooked this cheeseburger. You can kind of see the burger. You can hardly see the burger, but that's it right there. It's just covered in cheese right there. And then I decided to use the 2 slices of pizza as a bun. So I made a cheeseburger, cooked some bacon. I cooked some bacon, and I cooked an egg over medium. And I was like shoving this thing into my face. And I was shoving this thing into my face. And like the yolk was like dripping down my arm, and I'm like licking it off my forearm, like, like it. It was so good. I don't care. Like, it was so good that I'll take all the judgment. You can judge me all you want. It was so worth it. It was so good that I'm beyond the point of feeling guilty about it. There's just there was no feeling guilty because it was just too delicious. And plus, like I said, I'm starting this thing on Monday. So right now, like I said, I'm just doing right. Yeah, definitely Twisted Tea. That's, yeah, definitely. But it was so good. It looks like a mess. And you should have seen the dogs. The dogs were just like begging me for this thing. But I was ready because I had made this huge sandwich, like with cold cuts, like turkey, ham, roast beef, all kinds of stuff, right? And I didn't eat it all. And I put it in the fridge. And so like I cut it up in little pieces, and so that the dogs wouldn't beg me for my pizza burger. I just kept feeding them little pieces of this sandwich, just so they not, because that thing is mine. It's mine. You don't get any of it. I don't care how cute you are. I don't even care how hungry you are. That thing's mine. So and then I watched like that Denzel movie Deja Vu again. And now I'm hanging out with you guys. So yeah, so far, pretty great day. Pretty great day. Uh, other than the explosion that took place in Afghanistan and Kabul, I'm very saddened that we lost veterans. One Navy SEAL that I know of, and you know, I don't like to get political on this channel, but I'm really disappointed in our president right now. I never liked him to begin with, if I'm being honest. I didn't like the other guy either. But I'm not happy with I mean, I don't care what your political stance is. This is I hold him responsible for this. As far as anybody being responsible here in the United States, I hold him responsible. I mean, yeah, he's just not fit, man. It just boils down to that. I just don't think that he's fit. And I think we should be doing better as far as our standards for a leader. This man's just not a leader. And you know, nothing personal against the guy, but you know, when we need somebody who isn't suffering from dementia in times like today. We need someone presidential now more than ever. We don't need someone with mean tweets, you know, in my opinion. I know there's a lot of people out there that are supportive of the other guy. But I don't think that he's the answer we need right now either. I think him being president has caused a lot of divide, if I'm being honest. And there just is. Now, was it him that did the dividing? No. But I do believe that him being president did cause a lot of divide. And now we're dealing with this person that just isn't qualified. You know, he's just not a leader, and he doesn't have the oomph to make powerful decisions when it comes to people's lives. It's just how I feel about it. I realize a lot of people are going to disagree with me, and that's okay. But that's just where I'm at on that, man. What's happening in Afghanistan doesn't need to be happening right now. And it's a result of a rash and irresponsible decision by our president. Now, I hear you. I hear you, crazy house saloon. I hear you. But yeah. Yeah, that it was all part of the peeing contest, man. That's all that was. I agree. But yeah. So yeah, my heart goes out to the families of those people that are lost, being somewhere they shouldn't have been in the first place, if I'm being honest. So my heart goes out to them. And so I think it would be proper, moving on, changing the subject. So there's the whole Critical K getting canceled thing, right? Everyone's talking about it. Everyone's making videos about it. And everybody's celebrating it. And that's fine. I'm honestly not criticizing anybody for celebrating that. But it's funny. Something very, very interesting happened. And I'm not too big to admit this. Something very, very interesting happened. I happened upon Levi Page's live stream yesterday or last night. I happened upon it, and he was actually quite nice about me being in chat. And so but it seems as though whatever we had going on is water under the bridge. Seems that way to me. I'm cool with it. You know, I mean, I don't think we're best buddies or anything like that, but he's, you know, it would be bad form to not acknowledge the fact that he that he was kind with me in his chat, and the chat was awful. Now here's something. I mean, what I do want to acknowledge is you know, he didn't boot me, he didn't block me, and it did get to a point where my being entertained by the chat hating me as much as they did, my being entertained by that, unfortunately what it ended up doing, and he still never called me out on it, but I should have realized it earlier, but he still never called me out on it, but the bottom line is it was his live stream. And I was actually agreeing with everything that he was saying, with 97% of what him and his co-hosts were talking about regarding the critical case situation. I actually agree with. The problem, though, I mean, because they were making a lot of points about First Amendment and freedom of speech and that sort of thing. Sure. And it's not illegal to do this and it's not illegal to do that. It's not the thing with Critical K, though. And you know, I just don't think that they know her like I do, and like most of us do. But they defended her in the sense that she has the freedom, and if you don't like it, and I've been saying that on this channel for years, if you don't like what somebody's doing on YouTube, don't listen to it, don't watch it. You know what I'm saying? And I've said that since I started this channel. But you know, and use your platform, like get up there, speak against it, you know, counterpoint if you can, you know what I mean? Use your channel. You're called a creator for a reason. Be creative, find a way to counter it, roast them. You know, that's fine. I don't agree with doxing, but you know, but that's the thing is what we have to understand about what happened to Critical K, right? It's not that she is being charged with a crime and the government took down her channel. That's not what happened. What happened was, and they made this point too. I believe her name is Alex. They made this point too, which was that YouTube is a private company. YouTube can kick people off if they want. And the thing is K generated. See, the thing is YouTube takes 30%, right? If I understand it correctly, YouTube takes 30% of everything you make via YouTube, basically, of super chats and monetization. Anything regarding your monetization on YouTube, they get 30% of that, except for like PayPal or Cash App or whatever. And to me, that's fair. That's fair. Because I'm up here doing this because I love doing it. I was not monetized for a very, very long time. And I was talking about this case, and I wasn't monetized for a very long time, but it only makes sense that YouTube or Google would be, well, let's say YouTube, that, you know, they're probably not going to pay attention to much of what somebody's doing on YouTube aside from what's reported to them. Especially if that channel is generating money, which Critical Case channel did. She got a lot of super chats. She had a lot of memberships. So right. Road King 01, exactly. I mean, I always equate it to my days of being in a band where, you got to pay the house. It's just how it is. Your house has to, the house has to have something to gain from you playing there. YouTube is the house, and they provide me with a stage. So I don't have a problem with them taking what their fee is. I agreed to their fee when I started doing this. So, I mean, I don't have a problem with that. So, but the thing is when it comes to Critical K, when I guarantee that somebody mass reported her. Now, what she's trying to do, she's trying to appeal it, from what I understand. She's trying to appeal it, and she's trying to make it to where she, she basically counters it and says, you're wrong, and you took down my channel for no reason. It's not a good reason. What she's saying is, in the video that they struck, but the thing is they didn't strike a video. What they did was they took her channel down for bullying and harassment. It clearly said so, and everyone could see it. Everyone could see bullying and harassment. Those words. So what happened was, whoever got that sick of Critical K understood this about YouTube, everything that I just explained to you, and mass reported her. And I can't say I'm surprised that it happened. Not at all. Now, me personally, I've never reported a channel. I've never struck a channel. People make hate videos all the time. I've been doxxed. I've never privacy striked the channel. It's just not my way. I don't do that. I defend anybody's right to be able to do it. But the bottom line is, if Critical K wasn't engaging in the behavior that she did for so long, so many people would not have gotten together to mass report her. So in my opinion, she's completely and totally accountable and responsible for what's going on within her life right now. She's accountable and responsible for being sued, and she's accountable and responsible for her channel being taken down. I am personally aware of a lot of the dirty, ugly things that Kay was doing behind the scenes. I did an entire live stream exposing it. So, I mean, is it my way to start making videos going, ha ha ha? And some of them are funny as hell. Some of them are great. I'm going to even say that I enjoyed a couple of them. So one creator, sent this to me that he made, and had me cracking up. Just like I haven't even opened it yet, and I'm already laughing about it because it's funny. It just is. And I'm going to share it. I'm going to share it because this dude makes me laugh, and I consider him a friend of mine. So he texted me with this video, and I'm just going to go ahead and play it. I'm sure he won't mind. Yeah, I think a lot of you already know who this is. So let's just enjoy this.
You ain't even sweat. You ain't even sweat. Yeah.
A lot of you probably recognize this movie. John's a really funny and very talented creator.
How's the family?
I gotta hold on. Hold on. Oh, that's another video. Never mind. Let me just, yeah. Dude, to me, that was hilarious. Like, with Prince dressed in purple like that and just looking all sad, that was hilarious. It was hilarious to me when I first saw that. And like, when you do the kind of things that Critical K did, you're going to have that coming. You know what I mean? Like, you're just going to have that coming. You know, so I want to say, like, it's funny because the fundamentals of what Levi and I think her name is Alex were talking about, I agreed with all of it. But the problem is that, and they like I said, they pointed out that YouTube is a private company. They can do whatever they want. And she violated terms of service. She violated terms of service on a constant basis. She made content out of violating terms of service. I mean, if the house is going to let you play in their on their stage, you got to follow the rules of the house, man. You know, you can't go pissing on people off the stage. You can't throw beer bottles at them. You know what I'm saying? You can't do that. These are the, you know, metaphorically speaking, these are the kind of things that Critical K did. And it just is what it is. So, and that's going to cause a lot of people to hate her. So, and what's really funny to me is I know Kay, and I know what she's going to do. Kay's going to act like she's this martyr, right? She's going to act like she's sacrificing her channel to tyranny in the name of the First Amendment. Like, no, dude. You violated YouTube terms of service of being a bully and harassing people, doxing people, getting people fired from their jobs. You did these things on a constant basis for years. You called murder victims. The B word. You called children who claim to be victims of SA brats and liars. So, I mean, you trash talked a mother of what she believes to be a murder victim, and who is ruled as a suicide. And made fun of SA victims. While blowing a kazoo, while wearing a tiara. I mean, so to be, I mean, enough people got so sick of it that they assembled and got her channel removed. And I can't say that I blame them. Now, is that a route that I would go? No. But I'm definitely not criticizing anybody for sticking up for themselves. And because, I mean, think about that. When we have a channel, we have absolute power. She operated like that. She would be up here like absolute power booting people off of her panel, hiding people. I mean, we all do it. You know what I'm saying? Like if somebody's disruptive in my chat, I hide them. That's why I'm bringing up Levi today, because in observation of good form, it would be wrong for me to not acknowledge that he was actually very kind to me in his chat. And it got to a point to where I was actually I was disrupting his chat. His chat was having, me being there was making them so mad that they just kept throwing attacks at me, and I was welcoming them. So I'm not playing victim here. I was actually kind of enjoying it, but I realized that what I was doing was rude to Levi, because he had a planned live. He was talking about it. He was making some great points, and here's this guy that's just, just basically taking away from the attention of the purpose of his live. I should have realized it earlier and left earlier, So I went ahead today and I took down the tweet where I made the illusion that he dressed like someone who drives a panel van and has a candy dish in the center console. I took that down just in the interest again of good form, because he behaved very classy to me being in his chat. So I felt the right thing to do was to take down the tweet. So I did. But as far as Critical K goes, I mean, and again, I don't think, she'll be back. She'll be back, like you can't keep somebody like that quiet. She loves what she does. She loves the attention she gets from it. That channel is probably, but she's appealing it, and she may win her appeal. But it was removed. It didn't say temporarily. It said it was removed for violation of TOS regarding bullying and harassing. No, Weedleby, I'm going to continue with the deposition. I just wanted to get that out of the way. I didn't realize everybody had somewhere to go. I like to just kind of hang out with you guys and discuss things that are on my mind. And that's okay, man. That's, it's whatever. What other people do, man, I don't have any control over that. Complaining about it implies that I can't accept the fact that I don't have any control over that. So I'm just not gonna complain about it. Anybody who looks at that and they judge me based on that are not people that I would even want involved in my channel anyway. So I don't care. That's what he did. I don't agree with him sharing my full name the way that he did, because the only purpose of doing that would be to encourage harassment. That's the only result that you could possibly expect from that, in doing it in a malicious manner. Because they're saying, they were saying, no, we didn't dox you, blah, 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 because we didn't share where you worked or where you lived or anything like that. We just shared your full name. Okay, but people can take that full name and share information from it. Now, I myself, just in the heat of getting pissed off about it, I've even shared my full name. Like in the heat of the Sophie thing, I shared my full name in somebody's chat one time. Like, do your worst, because I'm pretty much undoxable. There's nothing you can do to me, really, honestly. There's nothing you can do to me. So that's another reason why I don't really have any hard feelings about it. But yeah, don't say, oh, we didn't dox you because we didn't share your address. Well, no, you you shared my full name with malicious intent, and the only intent that could be is to encourage harassment coming from the people watching. So, you know, and you could tell by the hostility that I was getting from these people watching that they definitely would enjoy that type of something happening to me behind the scenes. Let's face it, these are the same people that were encouraging what happened to Ken's counseling couch. Oh, thanks, Mel. I love Alex Erickson, man. Her channel's great. She's super, super nice. You don't get fined. You don't get fined. They'll just cut off the monetization sometimes, or they'll suspend your channel. But yeah, I just, yeah, I don't think it's cool to, you know, I'm just saying, don't say, oh, well, I was just kidding about the doxing, and then share my full name and then be like, whoa, you know what I mean? Like, what was the intent behind doing that? You know what I mean? Like, it was the same thing when I called out, you know, another creator who I shared a screenshot in community saying, get me all of his information and you know, get me all of his information. He even completed the sentence. Levi completed the sentence saying, get me his information and I'll gladly dox him. You know, but like I said, I mean, there's really nothing you could do to me. So I wasn't really that upset about it, but don't say, oh, well, you know, I didn't mean anything by it, when the only thing that could come out of it is, you know, harassment. That's the inevitable result of sharing that information. So, but yeah, I mean, I'm not even mad about it. But so moving on. So I've got 35 more pages, 35 fucking pages to read left of this deposition, man. We're going to conclude this tonight, I think. This is going to be a long one. I rambled on for 40 minutes. I appreciate you guys sticking around for that. But we're going to move on to the deposition. Danny B, you say you have a question? And Amethyst just shared Alex Erickson's channel in the chat. Danny B, I honestly don't know the answer to that. I have no idea. I have no clue. Crikey. So I did remind Michael today that I needed a copy of that deposition. He tells me that he got the stenographer's name. So, okay. I mean, it's all we can do. I hope there's another way to get it, because I do want to read it. For the sake of being fair, I want to read it. All right. So we've covered a lot here, man. This deposition is pretty telling. It's pretty telling. I mean, we're seeing a lot of, you know, we're seeing evidence, And not only are we seeing evidence that could raise questions to Kelly's possibly being the actual parental alienator between the two of them, between her and Michael, we're seeing more than enough evidence to raise questions, but we're seeing also evidence that would close out questions of Michael being the alienator. Because one thing that sticks out to me is how many times did Kelly have CPS investigating her? Because when you think about it, what you're looking at is actions, right? You're looking at his actions, and the actions of Michael reporting her to CPS, those are the actions of a parent concerned for their kids, right? For their well-being, right? Now, if he was doing it in the sense of self-serving to try to hurt her, if he was doing it to try to hurt her, then why didn't he file? Why didn't he make any filings demanding the children? 5 different occasions that were went over where he could have and he didn't. Especially when she violates the court order and takes the kids over to Jake's. And then one of the boys gets his hand broken. She doesn't even take him to the hospital until 2 days later, I believe. So, I mean, to me, that's very telling of Michael's behavior. You know, if he's out to hurt her and use the courts to do it, well, then why didn't he file all those times that he could have and probably won? So, I mean, to me, that's very telling. And the fact that these things happen, I mean, when you're reading you're hearing the reports from the CPS workers, and then she claims that something else is being said by these CPS workers, but she has nothing. She hasn't turned in any of these text messages in discovery for Michael's attorneys. I mean, okay, well, that doesn't even make sense. Big ups. Great pick, by the way. Let me read this comment. I mean, are you hoping that I'm so distracted by your avatar that I'm not gonna like see the pure ridiculousness of your statement here? He didn't do anything because he wasn't. So he didn't file. Your opinion is he didn't file anything against his ex because he wasn't concerned about the kids. He just wanted to hurt her, in your opinion. That's what you're saying. How does that make any sense in the slightest bit? Like, this is what I'm talking about, people. I mean, he made false claims. What do you mean he made false claims? We had the reports from the CPS workers. They followed up. Kelly had a black eye, allegedly because she ran into a door. So Kelly had a black eye. There's broken dishes. There's 9 911 calls. So, and this is what I'm talking about. That's only just a small handful. That's the CPS reports are just like a couple of the reasons why he could have filed, but he didn't. Like what? Like, don't come in here with your titties and just say things like say something with substance, please. Something with more substance than what's in your avatar, please. That's all I'm asking you to do. Don't just throw stuff out there. Well, I made a bunch of false. Like what? Absolutely. Like I went over the text message exchanges, man. I went over the text message exchanges. We don't know if that's a false claim. Big ups. That's the whole reason we're here. There's more reason to believe that they're not false claims than that they are. That's the entire reason we're here. Like, come on, man. All right. So Ms. Lishman asks, have you ever been asked to resign? Yes. And were you asked, where were you asked to resign from? She says the company name. Lishman says, what was the time frame on that? December of 2015 or January of 2015, one of them. I don't remember the exact date. We went over this before. This is weird to me. Like, yeah, Ms. Lishman's like, was it December of 2015 or January of 2015? I feel like she meant to say 2016 in one of those. Kelly says, I don't remember. And why did they ask you to resign, Kelly? There was a new chief of staff. I mean, there was a new HR leader coming in who wanted her own chief of staff, and that was the role that I was in. So I negotiated a severance settlement, and given that I had gone through a divorce that year, I used that settlement to not be in a rush to find another role. I did look for other roles in San Antonio particularly, and the company that I'm with now, I won't name them, gave a really great offer, and Michael wasn't around at the time. And so what do you think Ms. Lishman says here? You guessed it. I'm just going to object as non-responsive. Kelly's like, okay. So Lishman says, I know you're in a time crunch, so just try and keep your answers strictly to what I'm asking you. And we can probably flow through this a little bit quicker. I don't have too much left, but Kelly says, okay. So let's just kind of keep it. And then Kelly says, great. So Lishman says, great. Okay. At the time that you were getting divorced, you were drinking heavily at the time. Isn't that true? Kelly says, no. Lishman says, and so let me ask you this. Have you ever been called out or reprimanded formally or informally or formally while you were at that former company for alcohol? This gets interesting, guys. No. Okay. And during that time period, did anybody ever approach you and say they were concerned about your alcohol consumption? No. Has anybody ever approached you in any capacity at any time and say they were concerned about your alcohol consumption? He said Michael and his mother. When did they approach you about that? 2014. Anybody else? No, not that I can recall. Do you ever do you know Officer at Frisco PD? No. Have you had any conversations with him? I don't really remember the officer's name, so I would probably have to see a picture or something. Yeah, that was going to be my next question. Do you know the officers at Frisco PD? Have you had communications with? If you know their names, that would be helpful. Sorry about my washing machine, guys. That's actually my fault. I'm doing laundry. Kelly says, I don't know their names off the top of my head. I think I provided everything to David. What did you provide to David? Like emails, I think. And I had emails, I think, that I had with the Frisco PD. Emails? Yeah. And if I hadn't gotten those in discovery, Lishman asks, can you make sure that I get those, that those get supplemented? Kelly says, yes. Okay. And so those emails with members of the Frisco PD, in terms of their names, can you also help me on that errata sheet? I think that's how you say it, errata sheet, by getting me names of those officers. Yeah, they'll be in the email. So that's not a problem. Great. Thank you. What have you told Frisco PD about Michael? Kelly says, ever? She says, uh-huh. That, you know, I believe that he may suffered from mental illness or some sort of psychological disorder that I have been kind of guarding against ongoing attacks from him since we've been divorced and prior to being divorced. That he didn't return the kids for spring break. I called him and made a report when he didn't return the kids on July 27th. And now, you know, and then, you know, I guess I'm more interested in things like you told them about, like told officers at Frisco PD about Michael's character. Kelly says, I believe he may suffer from undiagnosed like mental illnesses. And then Lichman adds to that. And at some point he was given a psychological evaluation back in the 2016 litigation. You're aware of that, right? No, it wasn't 2016, Kelly says. When was it? It was 2017. Gotcha. You actually paid for that, didn't you? Kelly says, I did. Okay. So you're aware that as a result of that psych eval, he was diagnosed with nothing, right? He got no diagnosis. Kelly says, it was not their job to diagnose him with anything that I'm aware of. Ms. Lichman says, I'm going to object as non-responsive. So Kelly says, okay, no. So that's really interesting. So guys, just a quick recap here. Just a quick little recap here. Well, Mel, I mean, I cook my own food and do my own laundry because I live alone. Well, I don't live alone, but I'm single and I live on my own, I should say. So nobody else is going to do it for me. So I'm going to do it. So I don't deserve a trophy for that. But I appreciate it. So a quick recap right here. So Kelly admits to paying for Michael in 2017. Lichman says 2016. Kelly corrects her and says 2017. That she admits to paying for him to go see a mental health professional, right? She admits to this, right? And then she tries to say that it's not their job to diagnose him with anything, and that's why he wasn't diagnosed with anything, which is ridiculous. Sorry, it's ridiculous. It's exactly what their job is, actually. I don't burn bacon. Shut up, Road King. You burn bacon. I don't burn bacon. Sometimes I do. I have. It depends on the bacon. I don't think that kind of bacon. I think the bacon that I had was so fatty that it doesn't burn. All right. So Lichman says he was diagnosed with nothing. There was nothing in his profile that came up as indicating any sort of mental illness. Isn't that true? Kelly says no. No, it's not true. Or no, there was nothing. No, I mean, I guess it depends on who reads it and how. What? Lichman's like, well, and then Kelly says, they didn't give him a diagnosis. No. Okay. It either does or it doesn't, right? Well, they didn't give him a diagnosis. No. They didn't give him a diagnosis, and nothing in the testing indicated that he had a mental disorder. No. Okay. And was there an order that you also take a psych eval in that 2017 case? Kelly says no. Okay. Have you ever undergone a formal psychological evaluation or psychiatric evaluation? Kelly says yes. I just completed it with Dr. M. Great. Any others? No. When did you complete that? Last week was my last session with him. let's take a quick break, and I'll make sure that we can wrap this up for you. Then the reporter talks about how they're off the record. So they move on to another subject here, but let's talk about that for a second. Let's talk about that for a second. So she's recently taking psych evals, right? But I mean, that's the thing is we already know, and I'm not talking down about her because she had depression. You know, a lot of us do, and a lot of us don't have a lot of control over it. But she admits earlier in this deposition that she struggled with postpartum depression and PTSD, and so, but the thing is Michael does a psych eval. Michael does a psych eval on his own. It's not court ordered. It's just a regular psych eval that Kelly pays for. So it seems like, I mean, it would be Kelly that probably picked the doctor or picked whoever the mental health professional was to evaluate Michael, and nothing came back. Yet, I mean, regardless, like I said, I'm not talking bad about her because she struggles with certain mental health disorders. But the plain truth of it is, between the two of them, she's the only one that's actually on record failing, or not failing. You can't fail a psych eval, but she's the only one on record that comes back with diagnosis of certain psychological disorders, except for this most recent one that we still have yet to see. Because I'd really like to know. I'd really love to know. I would love to see the results of this. But unfortunately, you know, you will never hear the actual interview or evaluation. But it's funny how they say he failed his psych eval. I love how they word that Michael failed this most recent psych eval. Like, you don't fail a psych eval. And it's funny, the same people that were so quick to put words in my mouth and accuse me of trash talking Kelly for struggling with certain mental health disorders. The same people that put words in my mouth and trashed me for this are the same exact people who call Michael crazy and a nut. Mikey the nut, who collects rocks and talks to rocks. So, you know what I mean? Like, what does that tell you? And these are people who feed information, who are fed information by Kelly's PR firm, admittedly by Kelly in this deposition. So what does that tell you? What is this PR firm out to do? It is out to make Michael look in a way that he is not. Now, I don't know what happened in these recent court dates. I'm going to chalk it up. Like I said, I'm going to chalk it up, since I don't have any evidence of corruption, not yet anyway. I'm going to chalk it up to just Michael, you know, not having representation, not knowing how to file things properly. I'm going to chalk it up to that. But yeah, she's definitely more concerned with controlling the narrative. And there's stuff you guys don't even know. There's stuff you guys don't even know that I'm not even allowed to talk about. But at some point, I will be. At some point, I will be. And it's funny is it's you know, it's something, it's a big deal, but this, in comparison to everything else that I'm showing and proving, it's just another drop in the bucket. You know, it just is. Okay, so Miss Lishman moves on to another subject. They come back from a break. Miss Lishman says, okay, how much was in your savings account? Kelly says, I don't recall. Give me a ballpark. I don't know. Maybe like 20 G's, maybe 20,000. Is that how much it is in there now, or how much was in there when all this started? Kelly says, when all this started. How much is in there now? I don't know. I haven't looked at it. How much have you had to tap into that savings account? A pretty significant amount, Kelly says. Okay, so is it close to zero? Or Kelly says, I don't recall the exact amount. Can you give me a ballpark? No. Is it more than $5,000 left? No, I don't believe so. So it's less than $5,000. It could be, yes. Okay. Could it be more than five? Could it be more than $5,000 left? It could be, yes. Could it be like, $10,000? I don't know. So no. So it's less than $10,000. I don't know the exact number. I don't remember. Okay. I'm just trying to, Kelly says, I am intentionally trying not to look at my savings account because I'm just trying to take the bills as they come in and do what I can with them. So I don't know right now how much is in my savings account. So I'm going to read that one more time, guys. I am intentionally trying not to look at my savings account because I'm just trying to take the bills as they come in and do what I can with them. So I don't know right now how much is in my savings account. Now, that statement bothers me because it stinks of BS. It stinks of BS because I don't know anybody. If you're struggling with your bills, dude, if I'm struggling with my bills, guess what I'm doing? I'm taking an inventory of every cent that I have. Who's making it a point to not know how much money they got when they're struggling with bills? That's why I had to read that statement twice, guys. That's why I had to read that statement twice. That is the most ridiculous. I mean, it's like she's not even trying to be believable when she lies. It's crazy. Like that's just a flat out lie, in my opinion. I mean, who doesn't know how much money they have, especially if they're struggling with bills? Dude, I don't care what she says. She's earlier when I was talking about the PR firm, right? When I was talking about the PR firm, she tries to say that at some point she only paid the PR firm, I think it was like $5,000. It was either $2,000 or $5,000. I can't remember. But she says that she only paid them that one bit of amount. I don't believe that either, because a PR firm is hired by who, right? What is a PR firm hired by generally? Usually a public figure. Usually a public figure has money. I would think that a PR firm has a fee. I would think that if a PR firm has possibly a retainer program, I would think that a PR, I mean, is it crazy? I mean, is it crazy to think that her saying that the PR firm never charged her any money and never gave her an invoice, and that she just at one point just gave them $5,000? I mean, why would I think that that's true? Why would I think that there's any truth to that? And she has a trust on her attorney's website, and her PR firm tried to spin a phony fraud narrative for Michael's GoFundMe. And I saw the receipts. Make no mistake that GoFundMe money went to his attorneys. Courtney Chalmers cannot even deny that. because she's the one who shared the receipts. Right. Well, I mean, it's obviously going to her attorneys. I mean, I have no doubt about that. But it's going to her attorneys and her PR firm. And there's another law firm that she's dealing with, which I don't even know what the hell they do. I think they're just bullies. This Laura Elkin person that's been emailing everybody, like, yeah, I mean, she's hired this person to do what? She's hired this Laura Elkin person to do what? Send emails to I mean, come on. So she needed a whole different law firm just to try to intimidate people on YouTube. Let's see. Typical monthly retainers with a PR agency will range between $2,000 and $5,000 on the low end, and for top-notch firms can go up to $20,000 to $50,000 per myth, depending on scope of work value provided. Thank you. That's very informative. Appreciate that. I mean, right? But here's the thing: is I just don't buy it. I definitely believe that her funds are limited. I definitely believe that because all her support's crumbling. First of all her support's crumbling. I mean, to my knowledge, Katie Joy hasn't been posting any videos promoting that lawyer firm. Critical K is no longer on YouTube. I mean, she can't spin that narrative anymore. You know, and that's I was saying something in Levi Page's chat yesterday. I was and I was mostly doing it just to piss everyone off that was in there, but they were you know, I mean, there's a reason why my mods call me the troll. But they you know, I was saying I'm not happy about Critical K's channel being taken down. You know, I'm not happy about that. I don't like to win a fight when somebody's hands are tied behind their back, man. That's just not how I get down. You know what I'm saying? I like to show this data and disprove and watch her support in this just slowly deteriorate as the more I prove on this channel and the more I disprove on that channel. And that the only people left supporting her are people who just blindly listen to Kay because they're too dumb and too ignorant to make their own opinions, to create their own opinions. They're too afraid of being called a peasant. I doubt it. That's a stretch. I'm gonna go with the smart money and say that the Rucheks probably had a big hand in what's currently happening to Critical K. Her Twitter got taken down too. Like, she's Trump status on Twitter, dude. Her Twitter got taken down too, which is crazy. So whoever's after her is after her. I mean, they are out to shut her up. Make no mistake about that. So yeah, if my smart money's on the Rucheks for sure, and I can't say I blame them. I have personally chatted with Frankie Jr. and he is like, very, very soon, Critical K's days on YouTube are numbered. He has texted me that. So, and I watched him and Frankie Sr. on Mommy Ramblings blog's channel. It's basically saying the same thing, that these people are basically done. Good of you to join us, Cherry K. Oh, I'm sorry. It's just Cherry now. And I'm just giving her shit because I mean I never like I normally like let her know that I'm going live, and I just forgot to let anybody know that I was going live. But I mean, yeah, you know, she's made a lot of enemies, and all it takes is for the right person with a strong enough and big enough voice to gather the right amount of people to mass report her. And I believe that's what took place. And I don't think that there's anybody with a bigger voice right now in the true crime community than the Rucheks, you know? So I firmly believe that. I'm sorry, Ames. Don't feel bad. Like I don't even tell my mods when I'm going live. I'm the worst, man. All right, so let's continue with the deposition here. So, so after Kelly's amazing response and excuse for not knowing how much money she has, astounding, really. So Lishman continues and says, I'm just trying to make the math work for me because you're telling me that you've got 150 gross salary. And maybe 10 to 30 bonuses last year, but nothing for this year is going to get paid out. How did you pay $80,000 to Amber, plus, you know, maybe 7,500 to 1,200 or 12,500 to David, plus 5,000 to your PR firm, which I suspect was a lot more than 5,000 to her PR firm. Ellie says credit cards. Okay, what kind of credit card debt are you in right now? I don't know. I think it would scare me to look at it. I don't know. I mean, you have to have some idea. A high amount, Kelly says. Is it more than 5,000? Yes. More than 10,000? Yes. Is it more than 20,000? I don't know. Could be. Could it be 25, 30,000? I don't know. Honestly, haven't added it up. I don't know how to answer your question. Okay. How do you let me ask you this. Do you see, as we sit here today, any sort of risk or harm to Jack or Lucas if they were around Jake? No. And as we sit here today, do you see any risk of harm to Sophie if she was around Jake Bellington? Kelly says yes. And what harm would that be? Kelly says, I believe that she believes something happened to her. And I feel like it would be very emotionally painful. I'm going to read that one more time, guys. As we sit here today, do you see any risk of harm to Sophie if she was around Jake Bellington? Kelly says, yes. Miss Lishman says, what harm would that be? So Kelly says, I believe that she believes something happened to her, and I feel like it would be very emotionally painful. Now, let's explore that for a second, guys. Let's explore that for a second. Yeah, I'll let you. I'll let you soak it in for a second too, before we get into it. So, what I'm getting out of that statement is she is admitting that having Jake around Sophie would be detrimental to her. She is admitting it. Yet why is she trying to get why is she even with Jake? And why is she trying to get the order of Jake not being allowed around the kids lifted? Why is she moving for that? She is admitting that she believes that Jake Bellington would be a harm to Sophie. She's admitting it. This is Kelly admitting it. Sophie's mom. Yet she's fighting to take Sophie back, take her from Michael, and she's fighting to have Jake around these kids. Why? Why isn't her response, this has all gone so far, but my kids are more important to me than any man in my life. So what I'm going to do is just do everything I can to work everything out with my kids and just focus on my relationship with my kids, because this has all gone so way too far. But she doesn't do that. For some reason, Jake is too important to be around the kids, even though she is admitting under sworn testimony that she believes Jake to be detrimental to Sophie. So you testified earlier that, the door's not closed with Jake. How do you foresee that working out if you are in a relationship with Jake, and what do you do with Sophie in that case? Kelly says, well, obviously she's my first priority. No, that's not obvious. I'm sorry. That's not what's obvious at all. But she says, obviously she's my first priority, and that would be where I would focus first. And that's where I would focus first. So I don't know what would happen after that. Wow. Lishman says, so what's the end game? Like, how do you see this case? What do you want out of this case for your children? I want Sophie to be in therapy, Kelly says. Okay. You want Sophie in therapy. What else? I would think that the kids should be returned to me. Okay. And continue on in their school successfully, and continue on in their extracurricular activities. Okay. And what do you see for Michael? I don't know. What do you want? I'm not sure, to be honest. I don't know. There's like a lot of different situations I could see playing out, and I don't actually know that I've got one specific set in mind. Lishman says, it's okay. Do you see any, as we sit here today, any risk of harm to Jack or Lucas by being with Michael? Kelly says, yes. Okay. Do you see any risk or harm to Sophie being with Michael? Kelly says, yes. Okay. And what is that harm, Kelly? Psychological and emotional. So in your opinion, as we sit here today, all of the issues in this case fall back on Michael posing a psychological and emotional risk to your kids. Kelly says, no. I mean, what other harms do we need to address in this final order, Kelly? I think the kids should continue to be in counseling, Kelly says. Like, I want to make sure that my kids are in a good mental place. And, I certainly make mistakes as a parent. Michael has certainly made mistakes as a parent. And we need to be able to develop a good co-parenting relationship so that we can continue for the next 12 years to do this and hopefully not be in this situation. And what do the boys need to be in counseling for? Kelly answers, I think that right now there's a lot going on in their lives. They don't understand why they are with Michael and not with me. They don't understand what's happening with Sophie. There's a lot of adult things happening around them that I don't think their little brains really know how to process. And so I do worry that how they're going to deal with this and how they move forward. Okay. What does Sophie need to be in therapy for? I believe she needs to be in therapy so that we can rebuild our relationship that has been absolutely destroyed over the last 6 weeks. And at some point after therapy, do you foresee a future where it would be safe for Sophie to be with you and to also have a relationship with Jake Bellington? Kelly says, I don't know. Like I stated, I don't know. But that door's not closed. Kelly says, I have a son with him, so I'm going to have to continue on having a relationship in some capacity. And that capacity would be I don't know. But for the present time, you guys kind of see each other socially and you're relatively cordial. We have had dinner with his family one time and we are cordial. Yes. Okay. Have you paid Dr. T? I no. Okay. Have you spoken to Dr. T? No. Have you tried to speak with Dr. T? No. Have you paid Dr. B? Yes. How much have you paid? I don't know. They have my credit card on file and they charge me after the boys go in. How many sessions have you scheduled appointments for? 4 future and 2 which have already taken place. Why is it a big deal that Michael not be allowed to schedule appointments or take the boys to appointments with Dr. B? Why was that a big deal to you? I was just following the court order. It wasn't, I was following the court order, which was that I was supposed to do it, which is that I called him to set up. Uh-huh. But you made a point of canceling the appointment that they had. I did, yes. Okay. And do you see any risk or of harm to your children if Michael participates in scheduling appointments with Dr. B and taking the kids to counseling when he schedules these appointments? If they're video Zoom appointments, yes, I do. Okay. What about if they're in-person appointments? Do you see a problem with that? No, as long as Sophie doesn't have a recording device on her. Oh, nice little dig there. Nice little dig, Kelly. Lishman says, we're talking about the boys with Dr. B. Okay, even the boys, as long as there's no like recording devices involved. I have no issues with any of my children, him taking any of the kids to counseling. Right, because the kids need privacy in their sessions. I think they deserve it, Kelly says. Okay, when Sophie had her remote sessions with Carrie, were you present in the room? No. Where were you? I was in the next room. Okay. Were you aware that she had that Carrie had some concerns that Sophie did not have privacy in those sessions, and you were monitoring them? I was not aware, Kelly says. My attorney instructed me to stay far away and not to be in the same room, and I followed said instruction. I do not know what she talked about with her. Other than scheduling the appointments with Dr. B, have you talked to him about anything else? He asked me to give him an overview of why the boys were there. And what does the order say about your ability to give Dr. B an overview? That if he requests it, it's okay to answer questions. Okay, but wasn't that supposed to go through attorneys? I didn't read that it was through attorneys. I read that it was if he requested information. Like, I didn't see anything in there. No. So following the order is super important. Important enough to cancel the appointment when Michael makes it because of your interpretation of that order. But when it comes to your ability to talk to the counselor, the orders don't matter as much. Oh. Kelly says, no, I followed what I read in the order. Ms. Lishman says, pass the witness. Ms. Graham says, are you reserving, David? Routson says, I'm trying to decide because I know she's got to go. Graham says, okay, sorry. Sorry. Routson says, no, that's what I'm trying to decide. I mean, I did have a few questions and I was not sure I have time to ask them all. Let me ask you about 2 and we'll cut off right there. Ms. Graham says, you want to discuss this? Routson says, can we go off the record? Lishman says, sure. Then they go off the record. So obviously, if it's off the record, the stenographer is not typing it. I don't have that here. Lishman says, okay. So we've all agreed we're reserving our time and going to reschedule any questions that Mr. Routson might have or Miss Martin for another time. And we've also agreed that Michael's deposition will be rescheduled for a later date. Routson says that is correct. We agree. Lishman says the goal is to try to make that the same day, right? Routson says yes. Lishman says, with our gentleman's agreement that parties will not attend each other's depositions. Correct. Okay. I think we can go off the record then. I think so. Okay. Really quickly before we go off, would you like to order a copy of this transcript? Boughton says yes. And then Miss Martin, yes, yes, blah, blah, blah. And that is it, guys. That's it. Everything else is just certified, like just written agreements where everybody involved in the deposition had to sign. But that is the entire deposition, guys. Wow. How the hell did that troll come in here? Right, guys. So I'm feeling saucy. You know what that means. Anybody have anything that they want to add? Anybody have any opinions? Anybody feel one way and then now feel another? Anybody think that I'm misrepresenting? So, yeah. So I have the StreamYard link pinned in chat. So anybody who wants to come up here is welcome to. I mean, it's. I am. Well, Angel, I know that you have your own case going on. We'll discuss that at another time, but I definitely want to keep the topic on the deposition here, if I can. Right. I mean, it's. I agree with you. I mean, when you're looking at this, I mean, there's nothing like what a manufactured answer that was when it comes to what she wants. Right. I mean, she said herself that that her relationship with Sophie is destroyed. And there's nothing about Michael's actions that dictate that he would be coaching her to make these accusations. I mean, that's what it definitely seems like, right? KT? That's definitely what it seems like, you know? Like that's exactly that's the way I'm seeing it, honestly. Well, I mean, we heard the 911 calls. You know, we heard the 911 calls. We know that that Jake is. Not only did we hear the 911 calls, that is more than enough indication. We saw Sophie screaming on 2 different occasions, screaming and refusing to go, 3 different occasions, actually, on video, where she is screaming and refusing to go with her mom or go away from her dad. She's screaming in terror. So we have that, plus we have the 911 calls, and then we have Kelly admitting that Jake would be would be emotionally detrimental. It would be emotionally detrimental to Sophie to be around Jake. You have her admitting that. Yet she has no intentions. I mean, why wasn't her answer when it came to why, if I'm a judge, this is the thing. I don't understand how a judge is looking at this evidence and ruling that these children go with their mother. I just doesn't make sense to me. It makes no sense to me at all. Right. I mean, everything that's come from her seems vindictive. She doesn't care that her daughter doesn't want to be with her. Like, she doesn't care. I mean, her actions are dictating that she doesn't care that her daughter, that, you know, doesn't want to be with her. She's not respecting her wishes at all. She's not looking at when she's happy versus when she's unhappy. She doesn't seem to be concerned with her happiness. At least it doesn't seem to be her top priority, even though she's saying it is in the deposition. But she's, if you use your eyes and you look at her actions, well, you know, you see different. Yeah, I'm with you on that, Louisiana girl. I'm with you on that. You say, well, what I can't wrap my head around is what she's trying to do, what she's trying to accomplish with the bully attorneys, and they're not even legally effective. Why is she so worried about YouTube? Right. That's what bothers me. Why is she so worried about what I'm saying up here? Why is she so worried about what any other creator is saying? Like, if you're using a PR firm and you're feeding information to a PR firm who's in turn feeding information to YouTube creators, well, you're breaking the gag order. Michael admits to breaking the gag order. Michael's like, whatever, dude. Like, I mean, nobody would listen. there's so much, you know, mishandling of my daughter's situation, and no one will listen. So I decided to bring the public in on it. I can't say that I would have done any different. I almost did myself in my son's case. I almost did myself. Right. That's a great point too. She uses calling the police to document her side of the story. She threatened to call the cops on Michael that time after they extended spring break. The 911 calls mean a lot less to me. I mean, you know, but okay. I mean, that's definitely one way to look at it. But the thing with the 911 calls is we could hear Jake in the background in those 911 calls. And in those 911 calls, she's clearly terrified. Like, she's clearly terrified. She's clearly traumatized. I mean, so it's just ridiculous to think that she's not. I mean, that if she's acting and Sophie was acting, the two of them, that's where Sophie got her talent from. You know what I mean? But no, I don't think she was faking anything in those 911 calls. When you are, I mean, this is a common thing with abuse victims. They become completely and totally dependent on their abuser, emotionally speaking. So she's scared of what he's doing to her, and yet she calls the police threatening that he'll leave. But there's something about her being scared of him leaving that concerns me. She's too scared of him leaving. It's really, really weird. Does he have something on her? Does he, you know what I mean? Like, does he have something that he's threatening her with, that if I leave you, then basically I'm going to throw you under the bus for whatever. You know what I mean? I mean, think about it. Let's speculate a little bit. Let's speculate. So let's say Sophie's claims are true, right? Let's say Sophie's claims are true. And Sophie's claims being that of Jake basically trafficking her, and Kelly being there and facilitating it and participating in it, right? So let's say that let's just say that that's taking place hypothetically, right? That Sophie's allegations are true. If Jake has all of this police protection, right? If Jake has all of this police protection and he and Kelly are no longer together, well, then she wouldn't fall under that protection anymore. She would be subject to anything that happens. See, while she's with Jake, then she has all this protection. But without him, she probably doesn't have any money. He's probably helping her with the money. His family is. So that gets cut off. And yeah, trauma bonding is also it's a more likely theory, is that she's just trauma bonded. And it does happen a lot in DV relationships. Yes. Right. I mean, the thing is when you're an abuser, you know, you have a certain control over your victim, you know? You have a certain salary over your victim, or salary, sorry. You have a certain control over your victim. You have this you know how to manipulate the situation and make that person dependent on you. Now, what about the firearms? You can, you know, I can totally see him dictating this situation. Like, yeah, you know, I need guns, and basically making her feel like she's going to please him and make him happy in some way in purchasing the guns in her name. And yes, he is a felon. He's not supposed to have guns because he's a felon. And he has had drug charges, I think. I can't remember. I know I shared I shared his mugshot and his police record months and months and months ago. But I can't remember what the charge was exactly. Yeah, that's a good point too. Why why is no one being charged for her giving a felon a gun? Why didn't she get charged for buying a felon a gun? I mean, she's admitting it on 911. So when the police get there, why didn't the police go, where are these guns? Because they're obviously not legal. You know? Like that's got to fall under some sort of illegality. I wonder if my camera will work now. Not that one. Not that one. You fool. Okay, now it works. And then it shuts off again. Yeah, it just cuts off. All right. So sorry, guys. So now I'm going to have to buy a new webcam, which makes me mad. Yeah, it's so funny. Like these trash channels, these trolls, they seem to have all this knowledge on DV. They're all experts on DV. But when it's obvious, when there's clear evidence of it here, it's completely dismissed, and then it's projected onto Michael somehow, which is really, really crazy to me. I don't think that has anything to do with my camera, though, Kimmy. It's just silly, man. This whole thing is crazy. I I hope Michael thinks of something, because I think it's pretty obvious that there's no I don't know, Laughing Scarecrows. I don't know. I don't know. I tell you what I hope will happen. I hope that he comes up with something within the boundaries of the law to where he can still hold on to Sophie. I do hope so, because I mean, I think if anything, this deposition was very telling in the sense that Michael does not belong with a warrant out for his arrest right now. He seems to just simply be protecting his daughter's interests. Yeah, I mean, I hope that somehow or another he ends up with an attorney. I don't know how that's going to happen, but we're clearly seeing that what's happening to him right now is not. It's definitely not justice. It's definitely not. I mean, you can't just sentence a guy to jail time without his rights being met. he has a right to a trial of his made of his peers. He has a right to that. We all have a right to that. Oh, I sure hope it is. I sure hope it is. I agree. I agree. And you win handle of the day. You win handle of the day. Sounds slutty. I'm in. Well, what that does is it puts him indisposed. Emily Shannon. You're saying I'm scared of him spending any time in that jail period. Same county as the courts. I agree. I agree. There's definitely reason to think that he wouldn't be safe. Definitely reason to think he wouldn't be safe. And so I that definitely concerns me. But also more importantly, well, not more importantly, but also that puts the one person that is protecting Sophie from what she is alleging, that puts the one person protecting her from that environment indisposed. It also, you know what I mean? Even let's just say the essay is exactly that, simply just alleged, and nothing, and there's nothing to it. That it's a lie. Let's just say, but you have Kelly admitting that she believes that it would be emotionally detrimental to have her around Jake. So this just puts Michael, the one person protecting him from the environment that Kelly admits would be detrimental to Sophie in this sworn deposition. It puts him indisposed. It's just, yeah, this is a really, really, I mean, because we're seeing just injustice happening. We just are. We just are. So, I mean, like I said, hopefully, in the next few days, hopefully bigger channels end up talking about it. Hopefully mainstream media picks it up somehow. And somebody with an investigative journalistic background gets hold of all of the information and decides that there's something to look into here and something to expose. Because Kelly hiring two different law firms, as well as a PR firm. Kelly doing that. Well, it just sounds to me like she has something to hide. That those are the actions of someone who does not want things getting out. All right, I got Angelina backstage. Let me bring her on. What's up, Angelina?
I'm trying to contain myself at this point. I have one opinion about Kelly, and it's just, as a mother, if my daughter ever came to me and told me that these things happened to her, or even not came to me but came to her dad, my first response would be not to separate myself from my daughter or call her a liar or punish her. It would be to get to the bottom of what the hell happened. And
Right.
it just feels
Yeah,
like,
that's what I was thinking this whole time before I even read the deposition. You
yeah,
know, I mean,
I'm just like,
and we know now,
it's like his,
knowing that the PR firm was using Critical K as a voice in, for Kelly Long,
mm,
and then looking back on everything that Critical K has said, basically Kelly was paying for someone to trash her daughter online, to
and
basically
it's like
bully
very
her own
sad.
daughter online. When you think about it, technically that's what was going on.
That's not like a, and the thing is like, I'm not obviously like, I'm not knocking Kelly for having mental issues. What I'm knocking her for is for not getting help, knowing that her daughter and her son's mental health and stability in their home and their environment was on the line. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. Those 911 calls hearing Kelly, like, they really were like heartbreaking to hear, but at the same time, I understand people get into domestic violence situations and they get into horrible relationships. But it's like, at what point, Kelly seems like a very intelligent woman. That's what throws me off, is that she's this victim in this domestic violence situation with Jake, and I want to feel for her. But the thing that stops me from feeling for her is that she seems so intelligent. You know what I mean? Like, she seems like a very smart woman who can sit here and dodge questions during a deposition and can do all these things, but yet she can't separate herself from this man that has major issues going on, and she can't remove her children from the home where they're literally talking about hiding in a closet because they're scared. Like, that's sad.
Right.
Like, at
This
what point
comment
do you
this
tell yourself, you know?
this comment says Kale is digging herself a hole. When those kids get older, they will know and remember that time mom didn't care about the abuse, cared enough to actually find out the truth. It's baffling. Right. Um, you know, like that's my issue as well. And um that's something that I'm noticing too in her behavior. Kelly's is she seems to have the behavior of someone who
Is almost calculated.
well, yes, but she seems to have the behavior of someone who has only an interest in what her children can provide with her now. No thought of the future, nothing. What could that be? She's not concerned with love or respect.
I think she's a,
She doesn't show any concern for wanting to have. Hold on, sorry.
it's almost as if she cares more about what people perceive it as, like, oh, her kids, like, you know, like she cares more about the way people perceive her and her relationship with her children than she does actually putting effort into having a relationship with their children.
All right. So I have a phone call here with
The kids' therapist.
yeah, right, a counselor for Sophie, I think, prior to when they came to stay with Sophie in the summer. So I'm going to go ahead and play that. Give me a second. I just got to pull it up.
Yes, Kayla, hold on one second. I'm having a hard time hearing you. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for reaching out. I appreciate it. How are you today?
Yeah, no problem. I'm good. How are you today?
Doing all right. Doing all right.
She seems like a
It's
nice lady.
Beautiful day in South Texas. A little windy, but it's not too bad. You're up in you're in the Dallas. Yeah, I know. You never know. It's been super hot out here just until last night. We got some rainstorms, which really kind of shifted it.
Freaking Michael, it's so beautiful out
I'm
here.
I'm just
The wind chimes in the background setting the ambience.
That's exactly what I'm laughing at. It's like it's like an episode of Mr. Rogers happening. Like, it's so weird. Okay, let's continue.
Yeah, it always helps. But you can hear me okay, right?
Yeah, Michael,
I'm sorry,
we can
our
hear you
reception-
okay, buddy.
We fortunately live in a spot where there's not a whole lot of cell towers around, but it also makes it a little bit challenging to make phone calls. So it's it's kind of tough.
Yeah, no, I totally
And what a
understand.
relaxing phone call this is.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for reaching out. I appreciate it. I got your information. I had received some paperwork a while back when the kids started doing what I assume is play therapy with you. But I didn't have your contact information.
Okay, so this was the
until just
play
recently.
therapist.
So I got it, and then I wanted to reach out and see if we could touch base to understand what's going on with the kids. As you saw in my note, just recently, a number of things came to my attention about what's going on in the home, and I know that because of the COVID stuff, I believe there's been a pause to your work with them. But I wanted to touch base with you and see if you can get me up to speed as to kind of what's going on. And now that summer's about here, maybe some of the ideas you have around exercises or healthy activities that we could do to keep them progressing.
Sure. Yeah, so due to COVID, I took my practice online completely around mid-March, and I'm getting ready to return to the office next month.
Okay.
So it has been a little while since I've seen them. Play therapy can be really difficult to do over telehealth.
Yeah, I bet.
So Kelly and I did make that decision to pause the children's treatment until I'm back in the office.
Okay.
We're still in the rapport building stage. Now, I don't know how familiar you are with therapy or kind of what it looks like to create that therapeutic relationship between client and therapist. But it can take a while to really build up that trust and to really build up that rapport
Sure.
for kids and adults alike, just to feel comfortable in the therapy office.
Yeah.
So really, that's the stage that I'm still in with all three of the kids, just getting to know them.
Yeah.
They're getting to know me. We're playing games together, just kind of talking about some of our favorite things,
Sure.
really learning who they are as people.
Okay.
And then with kids their ages, typically what we spend a lot of time working on is emotion identification and regulation. So really just learning a lot of different feelings words. Where do we feel feelings in our bodies? We talk about, we might feel anxiety in our chest. We might feel anger in our chest. We talk about what body sensations do we notice and different coping skills. It's kind of where we left off when we had to put that pause in our treatment.
Yeah.
So in terms of exercises, the next place that I would go with the kids would be learning some different ways of doing deep breathing, different ways that we can move our bodies.
Yeah.
That might be exercising outside, that might be doing yoga, dancing.
I really like that.
That's where my
actually.
treatment is going to go with them next.
So I remember there was this one mention. Kelly had mentioned your focus on where you feel feelings in your body. And now that you're telling me again, I remember that being a brief mention. I really, really like the fact that you're working on that. It's so I've studied Eastern healing traditions for some time now, and one of them that I went all the way with was Reiki. And Reiki talks a lot, obviously, about the energetic tie-ins with physical experiences, and emotions is certainly part of that. The emotional body, mental body, how they tie together, the physical body. So that's pretty neat.
Yeah, a lot of the work that I do is somatic work, which is working with the body.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's really where we have to get kids to understand that our bodies give us signals, and those signals can dictate our behaviors. So we talk about, what are coping skills that we can use at home, what are coping skills that we can use at school. So making sure that they have different tools when they're in different locations.
Gotcha. That's really neat. What is the basis of that approach? Is it? I'm sure there's a clinical.
Okay, so for those of you, this is Ivan the Great just asked which counselor this is. This is Kayla. She is their play therapist, and she was their play therapist before the kids came to stay with Michael in the summer.
And isn't this the therapist during the deposition that mentioned she had concerns about Kelly listening to the conversation, I believe?
I'd have to go back and reference, but probably.
Yeah, because she said
I
she was in
think so.
telemedicine, so.
Okay, and paused the children's treatment in mid-March. All right. Let me continue it here.
Clinical aspect to this of where it's used, but I mean, along your process, like how did you get introduced to that type of therapy and approach?
Yeah, so my specialty is trauma, which can look so different and can be just really different experiences for different people.
Yeah.
Typically, I find that kids who have experienced a separation or a divorce can really benefit from those different thematic types of approaches.
Yeah.
There's a lot of big feelings involved with that, and kids don't always know how to verbally express those feelings. Mm-hmm. So if we can teach them what it means to feel them in their bodies, then they can express them with healthy coping skills.
That's pretty awesome. Right on. So you're still in the getting acquainted mode of working with the kids.
Exactly.
All right. So.
And we might have to start over since we've had to have such a big pause in our treatment because of COVID. When I see them again for the first time, it could be like we're seeing each other for the completely first time all over again, if that makes sense.
Yeah, of course. I'm sure that's a challenge given the situation and what's going on with COVID. I think it's put a hiccup in a lot of people's work. So.
Yes.
Certainly
it's my first time being a therapist during the pandemic, so just trying to figure that out.
Yeah, no, I feel you. We work with a lot of people. Our business is rocks and crystals. And so I convert them into gem sands, and we sell them to artists and even healers or people working in the realm of kind of healing work all over. And they use them. Sand therapy is one area where we sell our crystals to. But oh boy, this whole pandemic issue really put a kink in the whole process because international clients fell off. So it's been challenging to get back up and get it moving forward, but we're still doing it. So that's pretty neat. All right, Kayla, what is the best method as a dad who obviously I'm not living in the city where they're living, but I'd like to know how they're doing in progress. What's the best way to go about us communicating? Because obviously I know you're busy and I don't want to occupy a lot of your time, but is there a way that you and I can touch base occasionally, and kind of what is a healthy routine in your opinion for me reaching out to you and just getting some sort of update?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so emailing me is always going to be the best way because then I can take a look at my calendar to, put a couple minutes on it for us to have a quick phone call.
Okay.
Typically, I reach out to parents when I feel, that there's something that we need to discuss, if something has come up in their play, or if they have verbalized something to me that's giving me cause for concern.
Sure.
Aside from that, I really don't do a lot of check-ins, and that's to keep the children's confidentiality, and so that they know that I am a safe space for them to process, and that I'm not going to run and tell their parents everything that they say.
I think that's good.
So you're always welcome to shoot me an email. You can just ask me, hey, how are things going?
Mm-hmm.
If I feel like it's something that we need to set up a phone call about, I'll tell you that. If I don't feel like it is, I'll just send you a quick reply. Things are going well right now. I don't have any concerns.
All right. Okay. That sounds good. I can do that. Excellent. Well, I don't know. Is there anything else you think we should touch base on?
No, not at this point. Like I said, we're still so early in
Sure.
the getting to know each other, building up the relationship process. There's really not a lot for me to report on right now.
All right, Kayla. That sounds good. Well, I appreciate you taking some time out to chat with me. I really do. And
Yeah, no problem at all.
as I'm sure you saw in my note, I'm pretty concerned about some of the things that just came to my attention that are going on. So I do feel like it's really important that they have an absolute safe space to talk and talk through what's going on. We didn't realize fully what was going on until recently. So it's I'm kind of in a strange spot where I'm trying to make sure the kids are all right. There's a lot of information that I've, again, has just come to my attention. So, but since you are the counselor that's been working with them, I think it's important that you have a full view of some of the situation and what's going on. CPS is doing another investigation now. And I absolutely know now that the kids have been in some pretty traumatic situations in the home where they're at. And I just want to make sure that they're okay. And it's, we have found out in this process that there has been coaching and the desire to make sure that they don't talk about certain things that have happened. We've found notes exchanged between them about you're not supposed to talk about the police coming, or some of the coaching was telling Lucas that it was just a dream. And later we found out it wasn't a dream. It was actually stuff that happened. So it's, I'm worried about them, and I want to make sure that they're okay. And I don't know, I'm trying to get a fuller picture of what's going on and who can help and how help is being delivered at this point. So
I completely understand.
All right, Kayla, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I'll move forward with dropping you a note occasionally to see if there's any updates. But thank you so much for helping the kids. I really appreciate it. And
of course.
I'll chat with you soon.
All right. I look forward to it.
All right. Thanks. Thank you, Kayla. Bye-bye.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that could be spun, that could be spun. I mean, it could be spun to him, trying to get a leg up and and deflect the coaching from him, but at the same time, I mean, what I heard was somebody who was just concerned about, he had just found out about these allegations from Sophie. He just found out about them. There's these alarming CPS reports. And so he's freaking out. So he wants to know what's going on with his kids. And now that there's a professional talking to them, he wants to know what's going on, if there's anything that he really needs to be concerned about. And there's no better person to ask at that moment than her. So I can totally see him, calling and asking about that. It's all part of the deep master plan, the elaborate, the elaborate conspiracy that Michael cooked up to get Kelly to look like an evil person.
But shouldn't we backtrack a little? Because it's if you think about it, the very beginning of all this, before Sophie even was on the internet or Michael put it on the internet, it wasn't even Michael who was expressing concerns for the kids. It was CPS, and
Right.
other parties. He was just like any typical dad. He was oblivious. You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, his kids are telling things. He's hearing from Kelly. There's a CPS case, and then it was literally other people. How did people not see that?
If you're seeing stuff like that, if you're seeing stuff like that happen, what are you going to do? You're going to ask your kids about it. You're going to go, dude, is everything okay over there? What's going on?
Right?
You know what I mean? That's not coaching. That's the opposite.
It really isn't. And I mean, it's just that's what I don't get. I've thought about it over and over again since you've been doing these videos. literally from the very beginning, it wasn't Michael who was putting out these concerns. It was people around the kids. It was the 911 calls. It was CPS. It was the circumstances that Kelly literally created around the kids that created the concern. And
Right.
of course,
And there's solid proof of it. You know what I mean? There's just solid proof of that. And I've shared it. And
he's just doing what every other parent would, like a loving parent should do, is ask questions. He's literally being scrutinized for asking questions, like, and that's his goddamn given right as a parent. Like, that drives me insane. Like, okay, like I know the world's not used to like dads being as involved maybe as Michael is, or like dads like wanting to know as much as Michael is, or dad's being primary parent. Like, oh my God, like he must be up to something because he wants primary residence of the kids. No, like the environment that Kelly created, she literally created that environment. Put the kids in there.
So apparently the way that Michael and Courtney found out about concerns in the home was that they found notes from Sophie to Lucas telling him that he wasn't supposed to talk about the police going to the house. So, I mean,
and let me tell you, that happens because
well, sure. I mean, and why, if Sophie is this, if Sophie's this spoiled brat who's just out to hurt people, you know, because her dad has her brainwashed, well, then why is she telling her brothers to keep quiet about it? Why is she the, you know, as the older sibling running the show going, hey, you guys keep your mouth shut, you know, keep your mouth shut, because, you know, and so, but why? Is it to protect them?
No.
Are they afraid of retaliation?
It was to protect her mother. Something stood out to me that Michael said, it has resonated in me.
Because she's seeing her mother be abused in the house.
Well, no. Remember they said that Sophie used to be very protective of Kelly? Do you remember that?
Right. Yeah.
So me being in the situation that I'm in, I literally have heard conversation, and I'm not going to, you know, specify. I've heard conversation from a sibling to another sibling in the situation that I'm in. And he's the older sibling telling the other sibling, hey, you're not supposed to say that. Or he'll give her dirty looks if she says something about something that happened at mom's house. Or like they'll go to a therapy session and he like gives her dirty looks, and even has gone into her bedroom and saying, hey, you're not supposed to say those things. It happens. That type of thing with kids in these situations, it happens. It does. I've seen it myself. It is not unusual. It is not like something that's out of the ordinary. It happens when kids are being coached, they're being manipulated, and they're being told not to talk about things in the home. And there's an older sibling who has taken on that caregiver role, which at that point I believe Sophie did. Remember, she talks about how they would go in the closet and hide, and they felt safe there, and they built a clubhouse. That was Sophie sheltering her brothers. But at the same time, she was trying to protect her mom because she didn't want her mom to get in trouble.
Yeah. So apparently, when they found the notes, the note to Lucas, the one note to Lucas from Sophie, it was before they knew what was actually going on in the house. So it wasn't until May that they received the initial police reports. Later in the month, they got the 911 calls. The next day, they received the drug test results. The call took place the month after, in June.
That's what I'm saying, is like people are painting it like Michael's some type of mastermind or he devised all this. No. Kelly literally created this shitstorm. She literally created the environment the kids were forced to be in. They didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
And as a result of that, CPS cases came up as a result of that. Therapists had concerns as a result of that. Michael and Courtney felt the need to go look for police records or 911 calls because of what the kids were saying. She literally created this whole shitstorm. Like, think about it. She really did. Michael didn't have anything to do about it with it besides the fact that he was being a concerned parent. Like, if you heard your child saying 911 was being called and mom and Jake were fighting, would you not go pull 911 records?
Right. And you're right, of course. And you're, I mean, we're talking about Courtney here, who's very proactive in that sense. So, there's obviously a serious concern of what's going on in that house when you find all this stuff out. And what's crazy is prior to all this, it's just, well, okay, well, they're going to their mom's, and that's it. You know what I mean? He had no idea that her new boyfriend would have some sort of, impact on that house the way that being there does, so I could just imagine like all of these events taking place one after the other, and you're just going, what the hell is going on over there? Like what are my kids being exposed to exactly?
And
I mean,
still, somehow
you
I
got a
feel like
7-year-old, who comes back with, he's, tested positive for cocaine and marijuana. There's something seriously wrong.
Michael and Courtney, where they were raging, but they remained calm and they handled the situation. I felt like they handled it pretty well. They approached it very mature and very trying to approach it that would not affect the children or have such a large impact on them. You know what I mean? Because it would have been easy, like you said. They could have just filed for custody.
Yeah. I mean, and let me address this comment here. I will say my son told the neighbor kid when the neighbor kid was spilling guts on what was happening in his house. My son told him you shouldn't talk to random people about what happens in your home, which is true. I agree with that, but that doesn't apply here. What we're talking about is they were apparently told not to discuss with their father about what's going on in their home. So there's something wrong there. That's clearly that right there is a form of parental alienation. If you're telling your kids to lie to the other parent, then you're definitely doing something wrong.
I completely agree. I mean, the moment that the other parent is being isolated from the children's life in any type of way, whether that's what's going on in the home or, anything, schooling, extracurricular activities, therapy, I think it's a form of parental alienation. If that parent's not being included in those things, that, in my opinion, is an attempt by the other parent to alienate the other parent. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, she's saying, but for SA and abuse, I know my son wouldn't tell anyone, don't tell anyone that. Kids know right from wrong. SL saying that tells me they've been threatened to keep it quiet. I mean, at least intimidated, sure, at least intimidated. But I mean, I don't know, but we don't know for a fact that SA took place. Now, I believe it. I have more reason to believe that it has than not, but it still has yet to actually be proven. So what I'm talking about though is, I mean, okay, that's a possibility because a lot of times, kids are afraid to speak out. They're shamed, they're shamed and they're made out to be like it's their fault, and they'll say, oh, well, they'll even go as far as to say that the other parent will end up in jail for letting it happen. You know what I mean? So they'll go really far with whatever they can to keep kids quiet. Predators hide in the shadows. They're like rats. They're like cockroaches. The light turns on and they scatter. into the
And we
shadows.
literally heard it ourselves. We heard it on the 911 calls with Kelly, the terror that Jake is capable of. Like, imagine if he's doing that to Kelly. Imagine what he was doing to Sophie and her brothers.
Yeah.
Like,
I
how
mean, in one
scared
of the
they felt.
911 calls, he's yelling in one of the kids' faces, or in all the kids' faces, saying, you know, that their mother's a whore. You know what I mean? Like, what kind of person does that? What kind of person does that? And all of these phone calls take place like at like 8 a.m, dude. You know what I mean? They're like early in the morning. These phone calls are taken. Like, that is, dude.
Like, you wake up like that?
That is cocaine and booze. I don't care what anyone says. That is cocaine. It's got cocaine and booze written all over it. You know, up all
And
night,
what's so
you
sad is
drink all
the
night.
kids start their day like that. Like waking up at 8 a.m. to that, and then going to school, trying to normalize their lives, like going on about their day as if their stepdad didn't scare the shit out of them before they left the house.
Yeah.
Like these poor kids, and then they come home and nothing's different. You know, like I just don't. I understand women get into these situations and they stay for, if they're not mentally well or for whatever reason they're under the abuser's control. But Kelly just seems like a very calculated, intelligent person, and it just doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me how she would stay.
She thinks she thinks she is more than she actually is, though. You know, but yeah, she is. She is. Just she credits herself to be better at it than she actually is. Because the thing is you can't hide from the truth. You can lie and lie and lie, but if people are digging, if there's people that are actually looking for the truth, and they put you in a position to where they're going to get the truth, they're going to get it. And I believe that's what Lishman was doing in that deposition very, very well.
It's like it begins to not make sense. Like she says, like she was seeing this doctor and they gave her this medicine, and then this doctor they gave her another medicine, and I was trying to follow, and I felt like I needed to make a flow chart or something.
How do you know? How do you not know what kind of medication you're on? How do you not know what kind of medication you've been given? How do you not know how much money you've got in the bank when you're in debt? How much? None of what she was saying was making sense. That's what I'm saying. She was stonewalling. She was clamming up, and she was dodging questions. But the bottom line is, she wasn't that good because it was clear that she was dodging these questions. It was clear that she was trying to stonewall.
That's very true.
It was clear that she was trying to.
What's so crazy is I bet she walked out of that deposition like in her mind, and she's like, "I got him." Like that's how people like that are. No, like they.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I would have been nervous if I would have walked out of that deposition after. I mean, but
like maybe that's why Carly with the what's her name? Carly with the T. She literally, I heard her on her channel. She said, the deposition made Kelly look very great and a great mother to me. And I'm like, wait, what?
That's because she's an idiot. That's all. Yeah, that's because she's brain dead.
I think that that's how women like Kelly are, though. It's like in her mind, she did right. You know what I mean? Like in her mind, her answers were great and she did great. And it was literally in her answers, like the way she answered things. Like I think they were just like her answers were justifiable for everything. Like it's almost as if
No,
they live in
and
their
it
own version of
always
reality.
shifted. Everything was Michael's fault.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
Like she shifted blame on Michael for everything. Things that had nothing to do with him. She's like, what?
She would throw it right in there.
It was super
I can't
weird.
even think of an example right now. Like, well, that according to Michael, and I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah, but perfectly imperfect. I don't care about being polite when it comes to her. Dude, I've never seen anyone who suffers from guanosis more than Limey with the T. I've never seen anybody. That's my word, by the way. I made that up. It's the medical term for batshit.
Like I said, people see their own versions of it, they run with it. But what's so crazy is they truly believe it in their mind. To be real, like I've realized that like people will literally perceive something a certain way and they just run with it. Like, and that's the truth. Till death do they like die. That's the truth. And they actually believe their version of reality. And that's what I'm saying is like, as I was listening to Kelly's deposition, it's like she actually believed the shit that was coming out of her mouth.
Yeah. Well, that's how most of these people operate. That's how Limey with the T relates to her so well. Because like she will literally like make stuff up as it's coming out of her mouth. And as it's coming out of her mouth, she's convincing herself that it's true. It's total guanosis. Never seen anything like it. It's the worst case of guanosis I've ever seen.
And what's so crazy is even whenever, like, I noticed that Michael's attorney kept trying to give her an out. Are you sure? Like, and she still proceeded with the same answer. Like, multiple times she would ask her a question and then she would be like, are you sure? And she says, like, she proceeds with the same answer. And it was almost as if she was giving her an opportunity to answer right. And then she would trip over her own words. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
it's really sad.
I do too. I mean, I just don't understand how like you can hear that deposition and think anything other than what everybody in the chat basically was just like, wow. I mean, she straight up admitted that she thought that Jake being around the kids was detrimental to Sophie, and that she, you know, that it's on the table that she, you know, will continue a relationship with him.
And then, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is like the fact that she couldn't even say, well, no, that wouldn't, like to even cover your own ass during a deposition. You
Yeah.
honestly
Why?
couldn't even answer.
Yeah. Right.
Like,
That's interesting too. That's an interesting observation. Cause like, why couldn't you just straight up lie, you know, and just be like, oh, no, I don't want anything to do with the guy. It's clearly bad news, bad for my kids. My kids come first, you know, but on one side of her mouth, her saying that her kids come
it's
first. And
almost
then the
as
other
big
side of
out
her
loud,
mouth,
you know what I mean?
she's saying that she wants to maintain a relationship with him, and the kids to have a relationship with him. And like, so it's kind of crazy. But I'm going to
Like,
go
why
ahead and
even
call
save
it.
your own ass?
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't make sense.
Mhm.
But thanks for joining me, Angelina.
Yep.
And
Let's fall
yeah,
asleep.
yeah. Hopefully, these things that we have rolling going on. I know you're behind the scenes getting a lot done, so I appreciate that. So hopefully, something comes out of that, and this gets a lot more attention. So
I'm hoping so. I'm really hoping so.
me too.
Apparently, we'll be in the courthouse the same week, hopefully. So we'll see what happens.
All right. All right. Well, thanks a lot. And everybody, I love you. And we will do this again very soon, my friends.